The feud between Ray J and the It is what it is host has taken a serious turn. What started as a casual conversation on a podcast quickly turned into a full-blown internet firestorm. After Cameron, May$E, and Shine brought up Brandy during an episode, Ray J reacted strongly online. And from there, the drama only escalated. To understand how everything spiraled, we have to go back to the 16th of March, 2026 episode of It Is What It Is. The podcast hosted by Cameron and May$E. The show is known for its unfiltered conversations, celebrity stories, and moments that often go viral. On this particular episode, they welcome Shine as a guest. Now, Shine is not just any guest. He is a former Bad Boy Records artist, a public figure with a controversial past, and now a politician in Belize. During the conversation, Cameron asked him a direct question about Brandy, and that single question opened the door to a story that immediately got people talking. As the discussion unfolded, both May$E and Shine reflected on their past connections to Brandy. The conversation suggested that both of them were involved with her around the same time back in the late 1990s. They spoke about it in a lighthearted, nostalgic way, almost like they were revisiting old memories rather than trying to insult or expose anyone. May$E joked about the situation, and Shine followed up with comments that framed Brandy as someone he had admired deeply at the time. He even described her as a dream girl. The overall tone of the segment was playful, and everyone on the podcast seemed to treat it as harmless storytelling from the past. But while the host laughed it off, there was one person who clearly did not find any of it funny. Ray J said the clip started circulating on social media. Ray J went live on Instagram and made his feelings very clear. He was furious that his sister's name was being discussed publicly, especially in that kind of setting. His response was emotional, aggressive, and completely unfiltered. He accused the men on the podcast of disrespecting Brandy and made it clear that he was ready to confront them over it. Ray J's rant quickly went viral. Some people saw it as a brother standing up for his sister. Others thought it was an overreaction, especially since the podcast conversation did not appear openly disrespectful or malicious. In fact, many pointed out that May$E and Shine were not speaking negatively about Brandy at all. If anything, they were speaking about her with admiration. That is where the internet started to split. One side felt Ray J had every right to defend his family. The other side felt his reaction was far too extreme for what was actually said. And then came the accusations of hypocrisy. A lot of people online were quick to bring up Ray J's own history, especially his 2013 song I Hit It First, which was widely interpreted as a reference to Kim Kardashian. Critics pointed out that Ray J once turned his own past relationship into a public spectacle and even built a marketing moment around it. So now, seeing him get outraged over men discussing his sister's dating history felt inconsistent to many viewers. Shine seemed to notice that contradiction too, and he responded in a way that immediately caught attention. He posted a throwback picture of himself with Brandy and Ray J, and in the caption, he referenced Ray J's own song by writing, "Let the record reflect I did not hit it first." To make the moment even more pointed, he used I Hit It First as the soundtrack for the post. That move added even more fuel to the fire. Some people thought it was funny and clever. Others felt it was disrespectful and unnecessary. Either way, it made one thing clear: Shine did not seem intimidated by Ray J's threats. While all of this was unfolding online, one voice had been missing from the conversation. Brandy stepped in and addressed the situation herself. In a rare public statement, she denied that she had ever been in a romantic relationship with Shine. According to her, their connection in the late 1990s was purely platonic. She said that the current narrative being pushed in interviews was simply not true. That statement changed everything. Suddenly, the entire premise of the podcast segment was in question. If Brandy and Shine never dated, then part of the story being told on the show was inaccurate from the beginning. Brandy made it clear that she did not understand why an untrue version of her past was being revived more than 2 decades later. But she did not stop there. Brandy also addressed Ray J directly. In the same statement, she said that although she loves her brother, she does not condone or support the messages he posted on social media. She also made it clear that she had never asked him to defend her publicly. That part of her statement was especially significant because it distanced her from Ray J's behavior at the height of the controversy. Brandy went on to say that she usually stays quiet when headlines get things wrong, but when she does choose to speak, she prefers to handle matters herself. In other words, she did not need anyone speaking for her. especially not in a way that made the situation even more explosive. She also tied the moment to something bigger, her upcoming memoir, Phases. Brandy suggested that situations like this are exactly why she wants to tell her own story in her own words. Rather than letting other people shape the narrative around her life, she is now stepping forward to set the record straight herself. That made the timing of all this especially interesting. With her memoir set to release soon, Brandy suddenly found herself at the center of headlines, social media debates, and podcast discussions. Whether intentional or not, the controversy brought renewed attention to her name and her story. Zooming out, this entire situation says a lot about celebrity culture today. A casual podcast conversation becomes viral content. A family member responds emotionally on social media. Old songs, past relationships, and personal history all get pulled back into the spotlight. Then the internet picks sides and turns the whole thing into entertainment. Cameron and May Dollar E's show thrives on exactly these kinds of moments. It lives at the intersection of nostalgia, controversy, and celebrity storytelling. Ray J, on the other hand, has built a reputation for reacting loudly and publicly when drama finds him. So in many ways, this clash felt almost inevitable. Still, Brandy's response brought the conversation back down to earth. She denied the false narrative, rejected the chaos, and reminded everyone that she is more than a topic for podcast banter or internet arguments. She is fully capable of speaking for herself. So now the big question is this: was Ray J really defending his sister, or was he reacting from ego, emotion, and personal frustration? Because once Brandy made it clear that she neither supported nor requested his defense, that question became impossible to ignore. What started as a podcast anecdote has now become one of the most talked about celebrity controversies of the moment. And with Brandy's memoir on the way, many people are now wondering whether her book will finally provide the full truth behind stories like this. One thing is certain: this situation has reminded everyone just how quickly old stories can become new scandals in the age of viral media.